Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. This is episode number 360.
Good motor.
Yep, it sure is. I think we said the same thing at 318.
Probably. That was a while ago.
This is very exciting. This has been a massively productive week. I don't really know why or what changed, but everything is back up and online on Facebook across the board. So that has remedied itself. I trust that either the gerbil that serves as customer service climbed back onto the wheel and got the thing spinning again, or we were fully migrated over to the business page structure within Facebook. So that being the case, hopefully last week was just an instance where the front part of the page had moved over, but the rest of the inner workings, all the wires hadn't been connected yet. So needless to say, that situation has been taken care of. That's exciting. Because for a while there, it was looking really, really bleak. I mean, I couldn't create any new content anywhere, and had the shapings of things being blocked. We went through a little bit of this here several months ago when we had an issue with EventSprout and then with Stripe, which was the processing system for all of the archived pay-per-view stuff. That did not find as happy an ending. So. My hopes were fairly bleak at what this was going to turn into, but everything seems to be pulling in the right direction, and that's a good thing. You got to get out of here because you're heading off to a sectional game.
Yeah, the Waterloo High School girls are playing for a sectional championship tonight, and Zach is grown up with a lot of these girls, and we know a fair amount of them, so. Hopefully we're going to go watch them win, which I guess technically it's back-to-back. They didn't have one last year, but the last time they had one, Waterloo won it. So it's pretty cool.
You told me you can't count things that way. We had a long debate on an airplane about Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning races in consecutive starts, and it didn't count. Remember that?
No, I don't.
I do.
Whatever. Well, I guess it doesn't count, but it still need to see him do it. So that's where I'm headed out.
On the topic of busy things, we could hear all sorts of banging and clanging in the background as we were getting the show up on its feet. Jeremy Gulley slamming away on a raffle car at home, getting ready for Spinning Wheels Mini Meltdown is another thing that didn't happen exactly as planned in 2020. Nonetheless, they were able to band-aid some parts and pieces together for the course of the schedule. But back where it's supposed to be, Father's Day weekend, how excited are you?
I am pretty ecstatic to be able to get back to where we want to be.
Right. I mean, to understate it, I think a little bit, in the sense of being back where you want to be, more sort of a home track, so to say, with so much success and so many great memories and scar tissues created at the Antigua County Fairgrounds. A lot of hoops to jump through. What's it been like trying to get things going with a standalone show in New York under these conditions coming out of the ugliness of 2020?
Well, there's a lot of things written and there's not much guidance, and the things that are written are
contradictory,
open to interpretation by different levels of people, and you got to kind of find the gray area, so to speak, Chris. And it was tough, man. I went through, I had probably, I don't even dare guess, maybe 30 hours worth of meetings, phone calls with the Board of Health, trying to hammer out what we could and couldn't do. And, we're still not where we exactly want to be, obviously, but we're going to do what we have to do and to make it happen. In hopes that they look at it and say, hey, these guys, they did it right, and they're going to let the fairs open up. my fear is they look at us and say we don't do it right. We're only 1,500 to 2,000 people. What are they going to do with 50,000 people?
Right.
Which is typically what an average fair does,
Sure.
So I'm hoping that, the right thing is they see what they want to see and they let us have our fairs this year. It's time, man. People are ready.
I saw some information.
Whether they are or not, they're ready.
No doubt.
Some stuff came out, I believe it was within the last couple of days, that the state fair is going to operate at full capacity for New York. So there's some good news there. A lot of the racetracks have been venturing out and having success, and there's different degrees.
And it's the weird thing is it's kind of based on county, Chris.
Right.
I mean, we had the show down in Bethel, and the code enforcement and the Department of Health were standing at the track all day, and they really didn't say anything to anybody.
Right.
They were extremely happy how it went, and that took all of an hour on a phone call to do that, and now move towards Otsego County, and like I said, it was probably close to 30 hours worth of meetings.
And one of the challenges there when we make the comparisons to the racetracks, the racetracks aren't necessarily county fairgrounds, with the rare exception of like Middletown, Orange County Fair Speedway, or
Ontario County.
Ontario County Fairgrounds. With,
and I believe some of the fairs, being that they are funded or granted by the state, they don't want to step on any toes either. Right. So they're tap dancing just like everybody else. They don't want to say go against the system in any way, shape, or form, because they don't want to hurt any future grants, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, we're doing what we got to do. And hopefully, in my opinion, we got blasted last year in the Daily Star in Ottawa for having the event Meltdown. We did everything properly. We adhered to all the executive orders that were put out. We did all the social distancing, mask, and all that, and we still got blasted for like 2 days from the Oneonta Daily Star. Not a single case of COVID was traced back to that event.
Right.
And do you think that anybody would say, hey, they did it right? Nah, they didn't do that. They just continued to blast us. And I hope that the community, the Derby community, takes away from last year's events that we did do, the Bethel event, we did do Meltdown, we did Downsville happened. The Derby community as a whole, whether they complained or cried about it or bitched about it, they did what they had to do to smash cars, and nobody... no cases were traced back to them events, and that's a good thing.
And that's the thing. I touched on that here a couple weeks ago. I made a post about Zach's football season. All this stuff that even a year ago. I mean, we were still pretty deep in the throes. Right now, I mean, we were only a couple months in it. But I mean, Canandaigua ran pretty much all season with people. Jeremy mentioned his shows, and football across the state, all these outside sports, and you've yet to hear of any of them being a big super spreader or cases being brought from them. But still, with those facts, it took so long that people go, hey, this, Well,
it's not that the Derby community didn't get hit. It's not that Derby drivers didn't get it, and they lost family members, and we lost a couple Derby drivers to it, So it's not like it's not there. It just didn't seem to be, what everybody said it was going to be, as far as the super, like you say, Brian, a super spreader event. Yeah. Everybody did what they were supposed to do and maintained their distance and wore the masks and did everything they could do to stop the spread at the events. And like I said, the Derby community deserves an attaboy for doing that when they were asked.
Yeah. And I saw there was a little bit of nitpicking about all that stuff. At the end of the day, if you want the stuff to continue, just do what you're asked to do. Yeah. It's a matter of fogging the mirror. I'm not saying that because of any type of political persuasion. I just want things to get back to where they were, so that the promoters can have shows and the cars that have been sitting around can just get wrecked.
Right, and that's my fear. I mean, like I said, Mini Meltdown typically averages about 1,500 people. And if the Otsego County Department of Health is there, and those 1,500 people are not doing what they're supposed to do, when it comes time for the fair, they're gonna, the Department of Health may balk. Mm-hmm. And we have all of our contracts this year. We've done them to the point where if there is no county fair, the fair board and Spinning Wheels is still going to put the derbies on the days that they're supposed to be put on, so that as long as we are allowed to,
right?
So that the fairs can continue. The fairs are hurting, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's not what everybody thinks. I mean, they still got bills to pay, even when there's no money coming in.
Sure.
And nobody really planned for what happened last year, and so everybody's a little bit on edge, and everybody wants to get out and get going, and we're excited to be part of that, and hopefully we can.
Go ahead, Chris.
Let's use that to jump into the planning stages conversation. You guys have had a lot of time to put together Mini Meltdown, getting it back in June, getting it back on its feet. Aside of the 30 hours of meetings to actually just get butts in the seats, there's been other stuff that's been going on to get the show up and running. You got a bunch of partners that are making this thing happen. You got drivers that are just elated to get out there. It sounds like all of the heats on the track aren't going to last much more than 9 minutes. It's really got the makings of an outstanding 2-day show.
I think so. We did go to the 2-day, and some people didn't like it. Some people like it. You're not going to help you're not going to be able to please everybody. But and we may, in the future, we may go back to the 1-day. Who knows? But for right now, we got, I think, 260 pre-registered vehicles, 125 compacts with one heat left for guys that didn't sign up or didn't pre-register. They can just show up and run. So there's that. We've always typically had 7 heats, and that included everybody. 6 heats pre-registered. The 7th heat. Well, this year we had so many cars, I didn't want to clog the track with 25 cars, so we bumped it up a heat. We've got a ton of V8s this year coming. We've got the bone stock. We've got bone stock V8s. We got the economy V8s. We got farm trucks. Got full weld trucks. We got compact or mini trucks, and everything's full except for the full weld trucks and the economy compact class. So
I'm surprised about the economy compacts. Well, hang on. Does that actually have
we
a cap?
We didn't put a limit on
No
it.
limit there, yeah.
No, we didn't put. Listen, if 36 or 40 cars show up, we're going to end up having to go to 9 heats.
What a problem.
That's crazy. So we know, from years past that, sleeping isn't a big thing for you, but is the rest of your crew ready to not get any sleep for 2 days to get this all accomplished, or what?
I ain't really sure. We've kind of done our thing via, it's new to us too this year. We've done a lot more via the internet than we have in years past. Normally we get together like once a week and, leading up to Meltdown, and then when it gets closer to Meltdown, we, talk a little more and get a little more together. But, it's had its challenges this year, but I think everybody's ready. I mean, we went. Bethel was a kind of a test run, and we did really well there. We were I'm ready to go like 5 minutes early, and we're like, what are we missing? Because we just knew something was not right, and everything was right, and had a great show down there, and I expect Mini Meltdown to be no different.
Are you guys able to sell food at the show, Jeremy?
What's that?
Are you guys going to have food? The food vendors there, or no?
Yep. There's a couple different food vendors. The Fair Board, Lisa's taking care of that. I know Cody Riley, Country Boy Kitchen's going to be there. I think the popcorn guy's going to be there. Cool. They're going to basically start selling. I mean, gates are going to open at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're going to start selling breakfast sandwiches around 8 or so. And, hopefully things are ready to roll. We're ready to go by, 1:15, ready to get the heats on the road. And we're going to do all the compact heats and a couple fillers on Saturday. And then the two consies, hopefully 2 consies. We may end up doing 3 consies on Sunday. Because typically, you don't have a full 24 hours to fix your car, 12 hours to fix your car. Typically you got a couple hours, and that's about it for the consies, but we're going to let the guys take their consi cars home. They're going to have to go back through an inspection on Sunday morning before the consi, so we'll see how many can make it back to the track, and we'll split them up accordingly. But, and then a couple fillers, and then the feature on Sunday. And again, we've never really done a Blizzard Bash style heat and feature where you got so much time, to fix your car. So we're kind of, a little nervous there. We brought on a couple extra tech guys to make sure we get the cars through and inspected, and go from there. But
Josh told
I'm excited. Actually, I'm excited for a 2-day event. I'm excited to see what the guys can do, and to get things back together in the time frame that they're allotted.
Josh told me that you were going to divide the consies up into 3 classes when they come back: fixed, wrecked, and hopeless.
Well, it is Morris, so I was a little nervous. We got heats 1 through 4 in the first consi, and heats 5 through 8 in the second consi, I think is what it is. But so potentially we're only taking the top 2 out of each class. So if you got, I think the heats are 18-car heats. That's 72 cars. You're only taking 8, so that's potential for like 64 cars in a consi. Obviously, that's not going to go very well. But it's Morris, and I'm not really worried. There'll be some cars that'll come off there that are just junk and no fixing to.
Yeah, that's the other night. Jeremy and I were talking, and I said, from what we saw in some parts at Bash for Cash, and then with Morris's history, so there should be some guys that you may get through and get qualified, but aren't able to fix it to come back for the feature. Right. I mean, there's they usually turn stuff inside out down there, and I mean, last year they didn't have a feature. He paid the heats each heat, and I'll tell you what. That was even more aggressive than I've seen Morris before. Right. I mean, those guys
that was insane. I had flashes of San Filippo 2 last year in the one and dones.
Yeah.
San Filippo 2 is when we had 3 ambulances the first 3 heats.
Yeah.
And I had bad backflashes to that when we dropped the green flag, and it was like 5 minutes and the world lost 20 Camrys.
You're not kidding.
Pretty awesome, but I'm kind of thinking that some guys will chase some Mad Dog flags. We're going to give away the flags per heat, and of course, it's New York. I mean, there's nothing like a New York pace. I don't care where you go. There's nothing like it. If New York drivers were in Utah, they would outlaw Derby in Utah because the damn tracks are too big out there, and you'd have Derby drivers getting hurt every time you run.
Oh yeah.
We got to protect these guys from themselves sometimes, but I'm really excited to see so many new names this year at Meltdown, and so many names that we didn't say, that are typically at Meltdown, and there's a lot of other good shows going on, and guys are chasing things, around the country and in the Northeast, with Marilyn and Frankie and whatnot. So I don't know if that's where some of the guys have gone to, or some just enjoyed the summer off and said, hey, we're not going to do it anymore. But I would dare say there's probably 80 names on the Meltdown list that I don't even know who they are.
Wow.
And to me, that's exciting because that means that the sport's growing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to touch on that. I mean, to a point, you kind of wonder why guys aren't coming back, but then it makes you feel good that so many new guys came in to fill the spots. So I mean, it's
right.
That's pretty neat. I didn't realize it was split like that. I missed the heat poll, so I didn't see who was where, what was going on. But that's pretty neat that many new guys stepped up.
There's some guys that returning veterans and guys that have been in every feature for Meltdown coming back, but there's a lot of young guys too, and like I said, that's exciting to me to know that these young guys are stepping up in the classes, and a lot of the economy guys are new guys. They're not, so they're getting their feet wet in a different class, and I think that's exciting. And we brought Mark Elliott on board this year in the point series, so he'll be there, and. So that's kind of something new for us. The guys, guys are chasing that we're in Ohio are chasing some points, and so that's kind of new for us. But
so how much more you got left on the raffle car?
I honestly have to weld the front bumper on and throw a coat of paint on it, and that's it.
Wow. That's early for you. That's I don't want to curse you.
Don't do that.
I know, but I got to start hauling to Morris tomorrow. So I got to haul to Morris. I got to haul 3 loads to Morris in the next 3 nights, and then we'll be up there. I'll stay up there Thursday night and get try to get the stuff done Friday, get the pit set up, and get the inspection lines and all that set up, and the quarantine area is all done up, and so we're here. Brian Leonard's here with me jamming on we just put all new suspension under the front of it.
Cool. I'm a bad influence. I texted Jeremy last night and asked what he was doing. He said getting ready to work on the car, and said if I was you, I'd go out on the back deck, sit down and have a beer. And he liked that, but unfortunately, he had to go work on a derby car. So
yeah, it's a pretty stout little Accord. We built it like we would build one for Brian or Andy Vona. So
cool.
It's got all new suspension under it, brand new tanks, brand new fuel pump, brand new Ryan Ostrander donated a fuel tank for it. We got all new fuel pump, skid steers up front with a plated or a gusseted Fury bumper on the nose. And somebody will have a good time in it, ruining the day, or they might even qualify for the feature, and then we'll have to fix it.
That's awesome.
That's kind of a double-edged sword there, man. But they'll have a good ride in it anyways.
No doubt.
For sure. You can find more details about Spinning Wheels Productions online, spinningwheelsproductions.com. The classes that we're talking about, this is the 2-day Mini Meltdown, June 19th and 20th. Inspection is going to open at 7 in the morning and run through noon. Heats are going to start promptly at 1 o'clock. Cars must be registered and inspected by noon. Economy Compacts, that's the headline class. $4,000 to win there, paying back through the top 5. $4,000, $2,000, $1,000, $750, $500. Feature appearance, excluding the top 5, brings home $350. Mad Dog is $1,500. Bone stock, that is going to be a 20-car max field right there. Economy V8, 20-car max as well, $1,400 to win in that one, and there is a Mad Dog Award being given out in that one. The Extreme V8 class, $1,500 to win there. Mad Dog Award paying back through the top 3. Compact truck, $500 plus 75% of the entries going to be awarded there to the winner, paying the top 2. Farm truck is going to be paying the top 3. Full-size truck, again, paying first and second, $500 plus 75% of the entries. You can get all the information that you need in terms of how to get there and additional details on spinningwheelsproductions.com. And I know New York.
Compact trucks and farm trucks both filled, so it'll be $1,100 to win.
There you go.
$450 to second. And that's all one and done. So if you ain't got if your name's on the list in compact trucks or farm trucks and you ain't got your stuff built, that's $1,100 to win, one run and done.
Let's catching up with Jeremy Gulley, one of the owners of Spinning Wheels. He's got a raffle car to go finish. Jeffy Schumann from Jeffy's Fab Farm says Jeffy's been everywhere, and New York is its own pace. New York is wide open, and Jeffy is one of the partners helping to present Mini Meltdown, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Jeffy's donated the Mad Dog stuff for the economy compact class, and he's been with us since day one. So,
is this the 4th or 5th meltdown, Jeremy? Counting last year.
I don't know. I think it's the 4th.
All right. I was thinking about that on the way in tonight. How many there's?
It might be the 5th, but I think it's the 4th. I know. Let's see who won. Let me see if I can think who won. That's the easiest way to do it.
You've had a lot of concussions, bud. Your memory might not be quite so good.
I'm not even going to try because I'll mess it up.
You got to save that energy for building that car.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you want to make mention of here before we go?
Not really. We've got some exciting stuff coming up this summer. We got Gary Noe donated some money towards our big V8 class. Jeremy Nafalski, Yoshi's Cores, he donated towards the Mad Dog. We're doing a $4,000 to win V8 class on Sunday at the Morris at Siegel County Fair. That's pretty exciting for the state. I don't know if we've ever had a $4,000 to win feature at a county fair.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pretty cool.
And of course, we're trying to set the bar, and Kingsville Old School and Brett Rallier and Darren Spurbeck, they jumped us, and I think they're doing $5,000 to win now Cobleskill. So, but we're still doing that. That's a 3-day event. We're doing 1 day, $5,000 to win. Heats at 1 o'clock. The feature will be at 6. $4,000 to the winner of that. And we've got the Youth Point Series is pretty exciting for us. That's something we knew. We've got some shows back in Pennsylvania, along with the 2 Bethel shows. We've got 2 shows in Holmesdale, 2 shows in GDS, all included in the Point Series for the youth cars or youth kids. So that's $1,000 to win that. Joe Calabrese and James Hoover donated to a second place for that, so that's up to $200. And Dave Smith, Hollywood Motorsports, donated $125 to third so far. So that's pretty exciting for us. I think that's where the next class of drivers is coming from, is our youth class, and
Definitely.
we got 3 V8 classes for them and 3 compacts. So
Excellent.
pretty exciting stuff for us.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
much so.
And of course, my partners, Buell and Decker, they both work hard, do what they got to do.
Deeper.
Well, we wish you the best. Hopefully everything goes smooth, and everybody just simply does without arguing with their ass, so that we can keep this thing going. It'd be great to see that full summer schedule take off as planned, and we look forward to catching up with some of the winners there from Mini Meltdown coming up next week,
All right,
which is
Have a
part
good evening.
of the Unified Point Series. Jeremy, man, thanks for coming on the show. It's always good to catch up with you.
Yep.
See you
Take
later.
care, bud. See you later, Brian.
There goes Jeremy Gulley. He's off and running. I'm loving all the posts of the plushie going around.
The what? Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
Very cool. We gave you the lowdown on Mini Meltdown. We got some other stuff that we need to hit on quickly. Let's do this one first. This one makes a little bit more. This makes a little bit more sense. Boy, we can almost make this thing look like it was fluid. Jeffy's Fab Farm, recognized as an industry leader in all manner of purpose-built demolition derby parts. Lee Sager was hanging out with us there in the chat for a little bit. I think he had to check out, though, in the meantime. That is the 4th Mini Meltdown coming up, and it was at 18, 19, 20, and 21. So Jeffy's Fab Farm being part of this one, starting with the rear ends in 2006. Jeffy's Fab Farm expanded to headers in 08, and the shop could boast a combined 70-plus years of mechanical skill. Jeffy's Fab Farm specializes in LS conversions and conversion components with consistent feature wins across North America. Your turnkey solution is only a phone call away. Jeffy's Fab Farm Camry in a Box campaign sets you up for success. For a retail price of $525, you need to ask about the multi-fit shifter options. You'll also find fuel and air parts, suspension and transmission items, steering components, pedal switches, and gauges. If you need it, you can find it online at Jeffy's Fab Farm. Jeffy'sFabFarm.com. Check out the virtual store and order now. We talked a little bit about Smash It Demolition Derbies. Jeffy was over there vending at the Bash for Cash 2 weeks back, and now they're ready for their county fair. Giving you a rundown on what the next month looks like for Smash It. June the 25th is the Harrison County Fair in Cadiz, and then the next day, Stark County Fair in Canton. The 12th is Montgomery County Fair in Dayton, and they're going to follow that up on the 16th, part of a 2-day show over there in Dayton, Ohio. The 17th is the Madison County Fair in London. 22nd and 24th is Washington Courthouse's Fayette County Fair. The 24th, same day, Franklin County Fair in Hilliard. The 25th is the Clark County Fair in Springfield. Claremont Fair in Owensville is on the 27th, and the 31st is the Shelby County Fair in Sydney. Stay up to date with all of that online at smashitderby.com. A number of these shows that we heard about here in the conversation that is coming up are part of the Unified Point Series. This weekend is going to be the next installment in Unified Point Series action. The 19th and 20th are going to be part of the schedule there with Mini Meltdown. After that, Toast Bartholomew County Fair in Columbus, Indiana is going to be on June the 25th. The 26th is Rouse Promotions Wayne County Fair in Portland. July the 3rd, Toast Bartholomew County Fair in Columbus, Indiana. The 10th and the 17th of July is the Buchanan Edwards Riverside Riots in Proctorville. 26th and 30th is the Rutz County Fair, Rutz Fabrication Butler County Fair in Hamilton, Ohio. July 31st and August 7th, Smash It's Preble County Fair in Eden. The full schedule is available online at the 527unifiedseries.com. Steven Sickle is coming up with a runner-up finish this weekend. Helped extend his point, 16 points up now at the 1/4 mark on the Unified Point Series. Steven Sickles out in front. Don Santel, 40 points. He is in the runner-up spot right now. David King, Ricky Duggins, Dan Ruse, and TJ McCulloch, all three-way tie for third, 20 points each. Andrew Ellinger, Jordan Rutherford, Ken Kiskadden, Mason Stacy, 18 points each in a tie for fourth. Again, you can stay up to date online, www.527unifiedseries.com. Ran through all of those. This weekend was the Destruction on the Knob event with the Hardcore Tour. We tried to reach out to some of the compact winners, but we kind of struck out a little bit, and then I knew that we had a bit of a shorter schedule. We're going to be catching up with Matt Vern Newcomb here in just a few minutes. The Mayhem on the Mountain event is next for Frankie Guy in the Hardcore Series, June the 26th. Then we kick into the month of July. They'll have a little bit of a break before they get real busy. Destruction on the Knob in Mark Leesburg on the 10th of July. The 24th is the King of the Hill at the Jacktown Fair. The 29th, August 3rd, and the 6th is Destruction in Dunbar, PA, and then August 13th, Cass and Coal Country. August 14th and 20th is Washington Warzone. Labor Day Lockdown is going to be a big one at Stoneboro, and this all feeds into the 2021 Hardcore Championship, scheduled for September 25th and 26th. $10,000 to win. It's the final confrontation in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. Jeffy's Fab Farm $3,000 Mad Dog Award. All the details, rules, and other information available on a very, very deep website, hardcorederbypromotions.com. It's a good-looking site. And, of course, helping them out extensively. Huge supporter of everything that happens with Hardcore and the youth divisions. Smith Metalworks, smithmetalworks.info. Experience and passion second to none. An all-purpose fabrication shop that has taken the Northeast by storm. Smith Metalworks features more than 40 years of combined metalworking experience. The hallmark of the product line is the pointed and flat front bumpers, replicating popular factory releases. They can be stuffed or run hollow. There's also a compact version of the pointed bumper. Other items include the Crown Vic door skins, battery boxes, engine mounting systems, pedal combos, and shifters. The shop offers all the odds and ends, such as distributor clamps and weld-in centers. Be sure to ask about their GM floor liners. In-person locations are in Mercer, Uniontown, and Bethlehem. Online, smithmetalworks.info. Those fit together nice in that order.
Almost like you rolled it.
Almost.
Almost like you knew what you were doing.
Once or twice. Real quick, before we get to Matt, let's make sure that we hit on this content. Johnny Alexander checking in. Good to hear from. I'm not sure if that message was supposed to be there, but it knocked me off the page that I was supposed to be on. Justin Madden wants me to call him.
Kind of busy right now.
Give me a half hour. Give me a half hour. Destruction on the Knob, Youth Compact. Mason Stacy came away with the win there. Terry Abadi was second. Roman Simonelli was third. Youth full-size Jack Drenovich coming away with a win again in that class. Kaylee
Pretty sure his mom rode
Oglesby.
with him as well.
Huh?
Pretty sure his mom rode with him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think when Mark was on last, he was talking about how, it was Mark or Casey was talking about how mom was on the sidelines. Maybe wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Yeah.
Jack Drenovich, Kaylee Oglesby, Roman Simonelli third in that class as well. Hardcore Compacts, Justin Yeager got the win there. That was where Steven Sickles took second. Jackson Salisbury was third. Mad Dog to Justin Griffin, closer award to Justin Yeager. Hardcore Compact round number 2, Jeremy Merriman was first. TJ McCulloch slipped into second place there, and Jerry Long was third. Mad Dog closer was Brian Cargill. Hardcore full-size division, J.D. Loring took the win there over Ken Kiskadden. Don Santel took third. In the four-man hobby stock, Steve Syope, Chris Quensler, Nick Quensler, and Bill Close Jr. who teamed up to win that one. Good win for that quartet. Josh Manowski drove with Chad Jesko, Tony Petrovich, and James Bandemer for second place effort, and then the four-man team of Joey Pernice, Mark Syope, Ed Bort, and Todd Syope coming home with third place in the hobby stock ranks. I saw the Syopes shared a video. Third place is not acceptable, and Big Wing would have been angry. They were doing the tour of the cars. It was kind of neat to see.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Mark was on the team too, and Mark was his money driver. That's what he always said. Mark was the money driver. So probably would have got a talking to over that one, but it's good to see the team Syope out there running, even if they were a little bit, you know, splintered.
Quensler's run well down there.
Yeah.
We had Chris on the show last fall.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. Hey, Matt.
I'm good. How's your day been?
It's been all right. Been all right. We had to detect a bunch of cars last night for the Crash Course Nationals, the online derby that we've got going.
You didn't ask me to help.
Huh?
You didn't ask me to help tech.
Because you weren't up at those hours.
I need my beauty sleep.
It's been a lot of fun. The last couple of missing pieces are falling into place. Little odds and ends, but that's why things were the way that they were. Getting everything in early has allowed us to find stuff. Gives us time to fix things if there are issues. It's been good. Hardcore derby, Smith Metalworks, Jeffy's Fab Farm, Smash It, all jumping on board. Alliance Motorsports, Coke Performance, all getting on board to help make this one possible. I was wrestling a little bit with the budget today, trying to figure out the pay schedule for everything. It's looking good. It's looking very good.
Can you give the total purse or not till next week?
The total purse?
Yeah.
The total purse for everything is $7,500.
That is amazing. Sounds that way. All right, I'm going to take off.
All right. You got to get out of here.
I got to get out of here, so tune in again next week. Sorry for jumping out, guys, but like I said, I got to go support the kids and be back next week.
All right, we'll see you later. There goes Brian. Brian heading on his way to the sectional game. I don't know what happened. If the phone dropped out or what the issue was.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. We got you now. It's going to be a little
Good.
quiet for a second so I can get back to the microphone. So tell me a little bit more about what's happening. Matt Vern Newcomb joining us on the line. We talked with Matt last on, I believe it was episode 180, maybe 160, something like that, way back when. We were talking about the activities for Crash Fest Express and got out of the sport for a little while, but here we are looking at a return.
Yeah, it's been probably been a couple years, Chris, to be honest with you. Thanks for having me back on the show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Tell me a little bit more about what you've got planned. Our conversation kicked up initially last week when you heard the conversation about liking the stocker build. You know, the fans tend to want to see the cars torn apart instead of looking like these Herculean beasts, and you're putting something like that together out there in your home state of Nebraska.
Yes, and we're located in southwest Nebraska, and I think this will be our 28th annual demo derby here in my hometown. It's the last big show I actually promote, and the one and only show since I kind of retired from officiating back in 2017. I helped Chad Markley a little bit with his last King of the Ring in York, and helped Rob Baker up at his Border War show this year. And I do get asked to help on occasion, but the main focus now for me going forward is just doing one show a year, as I promised for my family, and that happens to be in Eustis, Nebraska. The date of our show is August 7th. I believe we are sitting on a $15,000 purse total. And we've kind of been dabbling with more of a stock build in the full-size class in the last couple of years by just having one and done and kind of limiting it to just 10 and then putting the big focus on the limited weld build. This year we flipped that because last year, or it was 2 years ago actually, we built a raffle car and it could be bone stock, and it was singles or duos drivers. And I think we got 6 or 7 of those cars show up that night in that class, and they just went at it for like 20, 30 minutes. Cars were bellying, things were steaming, stuff was bending, and it's not very often, as an official, you stand on the dirt bank and you can have your headset on and you can hear the crowd erupting.
Right.
I could literally hear the crowd erupting over that night, so that was a pretty exciting time.
So, I mean, that being the case, that started the dominoes falling to get away from the heavy builds. Was it a hard sell locally? Was it tough to get the Fair Board on board with dialing things back? I'm sure that your inspectors are going to be a big proponent of turning things back and stocking things up, so to say.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say really it was a hard sell to the Fair Board or my tech crew. They've always put a lot of trust in knowing that when I make a decision, it's usually the right one. But probably the hardest sell is for the drivers.
Sure.
You know, to go from a heavier build and go back. They don't like to go back from the future to do that stuff.
Right.
But like I said a little bit ago, we flipped that. We're trying to put the big focus on this back in time class is what we're calling it. There is $12,000 guaranteed for that class this year.
We're trying to pre-register 20 cars total for that class, and we would take 10 and put them on the track and run it down to 5, and then those top 5 cars would advance to what we call an A main.
Right.
And then they go out and make the repairs to their car. We're gonna allow 4 patch plates per rail, per frame rail, per side, prior to running the A main for the areas that they need fixed after they bend. And then they can go compete for, basically, it's a $3,000 top prize money, $2,000 for second, $1,250 for third, $1,000 for fourth, $900 for fifth, $700 for sixth, $550 still at seventh place. So there's good money on the line. There's a $500 Mad Dog Award. And then the other interesting twist is the next 10 cars will come out, run their heat race, and will advance the top 5 as well. And then any of the losers that have enough left to go run can go back into a B main and compete for money as well. And if the top 3 cars in the B main still have something left, and they want to come back out and run the A main, so that essentially be 3 runs on one car, it's probably going to be pretty used up by that point in time.
I should say.
We'll let them come back if they can, and they can compete for more money. So we're pretty excited about this. So we're gaining more and more interest every day. I asked Chris a week ago if I could be on the podcast, because our entry process has just been a little bit slower than I'd like to see. I just would like to get this show filled up, since August 7th is about 54 days away now.
Right. The nice part is you're allowing enough stuff. I mean, depending on where you are, stock means different things. You can go up into Maine, and there's stock means that there's no spreader bars and they still got windshield in the car. And you go to Ohio, and stock is notably different. Where you are in that part of the country isn't the most insane part of Nebraska, but there's pretty stout drivers throughout that state, and right there, that close to Missouri, you got a lot of carryover for some pretty insane builds as well. So when you say stock and you talk about turning things back to where things were, you're still allowing the guys to have the stuff that will protect their equipment. They're not going to have to worry about, damaging blocks and things of that nature. But it is still a build where the cars are going to bend and they're going to have to drive it, and it's going to be the shows that people are supposed to be anyway. It's supposed to be the show that people are used to seeing at the county fairs, where everything is just steaming with the fenders falling off it, trunk lids dragging behind, and things like that.
Yeah, and I can try to give a real quick explanation of our stock build rules, because I know, like you said, from one state to the next, it really varies on the true definition of the promoter's stock class or lighter build class, however they want to say it. There's a lot of different names out for those type of builds out there across the country. So basically what we're allowing is any full-size car. We do have limitations on things like Chrysler Imperials and 03 and newers. We're not allowing those cars. Suicide Lincolns, we're not allowing those cars. You could take a stock bumper, you can seam weld it, you can weld it to the frame, hard nose it to the frame, and you can weld a bumper bracket 10 inches back. Where we're being most critical is on the frame. We're really limiting any frame welding or pre-plating on a fresh car. You could bolt your A-arm down solid. You can crank your torsion bars up on a Mopar. On the rear trailing arms, we're allowing 4 inches of added material after you lengthen or shorten them. We're allowing 2 leaf spring clamps per side on cars that have wagons. You can weld your doors 6 on, 6 off. Weld 6, skip 6. You can run pretty much any half cradle. I call it a half cradle, or front quarter cradle, including mid plate in between the transmission. And you can also have a aftermarket Ultra Bell if you'd like. It has to be aluminum. You can run your sliding drive shaft. You can run your post Mopar rear end. You can have your pinion brake set up on there and all your goodies inside the cab with your cable shifters and gas pedals and brake pedal plates. It's just where we're really being critical is on what you can do to the frame, body bolts and stuff like that. So it should be good. In some cases, some guys got an old 72 Impala laying around, or a Shocker Mopar that, gosh, I just don't want to take that to some of these bigger shows because I don't feel like that's a quality enough car to compete. But now maybe some of those cars can come out of the woods and go to work.
I like it. I'm interested to see how many of those trade bait Mopars that are laying around middle America end up at the show, just because it's not a car that you see run with any type of prominence at the weld shows, and certainly the era of that car being a dominant piece has passed, as our conversations with Jimmy Johnson and Chad Markley and Kenny Rosno and a number of those other drivers out that way have all suggested that the day of that car has since passed. So it would be a lot of fun to see a bunch of those things show up and go tear it up.
Absolutely. You know, and the other part of this, my good buddy Will Steinbeck, he has a show the same night or the night before us and the same night as us. So we were trying to be cordial with his promoting group, you know, by putting more of a focus on the stock class so he could try to have a good, decent show. One of the shows is 30 miles away from here, and the other one is about an hour. So, you know, Will and I were trying to not step on each other's toes as well. And there's a lot of good quality drivers from our area, and we've pulled cars from Minnesota here in town. We've had Andy Hansen and his buddy Landy down, and Darby Hansen's come down. We've had the Dittmers come up from Kansas. We've had the Steinbeck brothers in town wrecking stuff, and the Hafer boys and the Johnsons out of Holdridge, and Shad and Josh Turner have been here wrecking, Creighton Muth and Abel, the Evans boys, Bertrand, the Burr brothers. I mean, the list goes on and on. I don't want to just say all these names and miss somebody and have somebody upset with me. Why didn't you mention me? But we've really had great shows here because those drivers have supported us for a long time.
Quit while you're ahead. Quit while you're ahead. The lineage and the success at that fair, and some of the drivers that have gone, you know, it's a who's who for that area, and it certainly has drawn well. The money's going to help a lot too. What was sort of the backbone for this rule set? You know, usually when you see something like this happen, it tends, I guess maybe this isn't as common now, just thinking about it as the words come out of my mouth. It still feels like more often than not you get the 80s and newer label, but this is open to everything.
Yeah, you could bring a round back Chevy wagon if you wanted to, or a really good quality DOP 225 Buick. You know, the sky's the limit where the drivers have to be the ones that are going to draw the line. What kind of car do I want to waste away on a show like this? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what people bring to town. I know a lot of the drivers that have been thinking about signing up have really been scratching their heads on what should I bring. The 80s cars do get 12 inches of frame seam welding, you know, because there's some guys that just don't have old iron laying around, and you know, so we're allowing those to do that, but that's about the only thing they're getting on a frame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I mean, it all sounds like it's shaping up well. How can people find more information about this?
Yeah, so I'd encourage anybody that would like more information, check out it's called Crash Fest Express Promotions Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And it's a closed group, so you can request to become a member, and I'll approve it right away and let you get on there, and then you can see it. And I think we're sitting with almost 1,200 members on that page right now, and it's been a success for us in the past. But yeah, get on there and you'll find all the entry fee, costs, the showtime, the agenda, how it's supposed to be ran down. We post all of our money per place for every single class, because we're going to have a limited weld, full-size class, that's back in time, full-size class. Our 90s and newer little car class is posted on there as well. Our mowers class, and this is really crazy, too. Just so you know, our 90s and newer class filled in a day. I couldn't believe it. Filled in a day. So it tells me, you know, that class is really popular, but we're also paying those guys pretty decent to win. So
sure.
We you know, everybody said I was getting soft when I allowed the 90s and newer cars, because they know I'm an old iron, full-size type of guy, and that's where my bread and butter is, and my heart and soul has always been. Nothing against the little cars, but that's just something I've always loved and had a lot of passion for. So I got a kick out of it when they said I'm getting soft.
Well, I mean, it's the trend of the sport right now, I feel. I mean, and people will argue it. It's not taking anything away from the weld cars, but even, you know, Frankie Guy just put a post up here in the live chat and says, I'm ready to go back to wires, and not even real wire, coat hangers, you know, to hold the doors shut. And I remember those days when I was a kid. It was a far simpler time, and the driving was still there. The chess match was still there. But at the same time, the cars had a much different look when everything was over with. And when you're talking about the bell curve, the average fan falling in the middle, the smart fan falling at the front of the curve, and somebody who really doesn't even care about Demolition Derby way at the back, you can hit more people as a casual fan and get in something that's appealing to look at in terms of the entertainment value, and you just can't beat that. Even if it turns into a chess match, at least you see the cars. The bumpers are starting to wrap around the carburetors and they're all stretched out and nosed up. Some of the videos that the Psyopas showed here on Facebook of the aftermath from the Team Derby this weekend. Everything was just completely snooted, and it's fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Just to give you an example, a couple of weeks ago, I took a car down to Markley's King of the Ring show, and we only had 28 in that class, and I'm like, well, this will be a cakewalk to the feature. 28 cars, no big deal, and let's see if I'm man enough to run a show that I kind of created back in 2015. And I was looking around in my car at the 45-minute mark, getting really exhausted, thinking I'm getting way too old to be doing this. There wasn't a single stick broke yet. And I'm like, oh boy, we're in trouble. So.
Scott Brown's out in Utah, and he said Utah stock is different yet from what we're talking about there, and it is. I mean, you can do much different stuff. The biggest thing to me in terms of the Utah stock is because the stuff it's not as readily available. The car selection is quite a bit different, and also you make homemade bumpers. Homemade bumpers are commonplace out there, and out here we don't really see that, especially in a stock division. It still has to have some semblance of the original bumpers there from the get-go. And Scott Brown also pointing out that little cars hurt more.
Exactly. Yeah. Probably the funniest story I ever heard was a guy I helped get inducted into the Derby Hall of Fame several years ago. He started in the late 80s, early 90s, and he told me one of his very first cars, they had a full bench seat in it, and they literally cut through the cushions on the passenger side and set the battery down in the seat padding, and that was his battery box.
Right. Yep. I can't remember who did that. Somebody up here did that, but did it carefully and pulled the stuffing and stuff out, put the battery inside it, and then covered it back up again. Basically ran the car, and there's no battery under the hood, but it pulls up running and able to start and everything, and had everybody scratching their heads. Brian is the one that told me that story. I want to say it was Mark Benjamin or somebody that Benjamin lineage, but I can't remember exactly who it was. But it had some folks scratching their heads.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. About like that one guy that comes to the Derby and throws a wig on under his helmet, and he's just driving and killing it out there, and the fans are going nuts because they think it's a woman the whole time.
Right. Well, additional details on this one. The Back to the Future, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of the event, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, Back to the Future, August the 7th. Get online. Crash Fest Express is the Facebook page. Jump on there. You can find all the details. You can get more information about registering for this event. August the 7th is the date for it out there in southeast Nebraska. $15,000 purse earmarked for this one-day show. It's not a bad one, and it's good to see that. It's good to see you're back in the promoter seat again, Matt.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, it's always a joy to be out there on the track working with the drivers. We love it every time. It's nice when it's all said and done too, so we can kick back and enjoy it. But it's just great. I'm very passionate about what I do for these guys, and they are as well for me. So we appreciate all the support and the following over the years.
Your fans are starting to show up. Jackson Gregory pointing out that you're a softie, and Ryan Oldham wants more team shows. I don't mind that. Team shows are fun. They're fun to watch. They're plenty entertaining. But it seems to me in team shows, when it's advertised as a team show, it gets real exciting, but the feelings aren't hurt as easily as it's a one and done style, not one and done, standalone, open entry, single entry type show with heats and features, where one guy brings 7 friends and it becomes a team show and is never meant to be. That's probably a conversation for another time, but.
Absolutely. You never know what kind of emotion you're going to get at the track the night of the show.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, man, again, I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little while. Keep me posted on how things are going. It's always good to catch up.
Sounds great, Chris. Great to talk to you guys as well. Thanks again for having me on the show, and have a good season. Have a good demo season. I know you're going to be really busy in the next few weeks.
You as well, man. Take care.
Yep, you too. Good night.
There goes Matt Vern Newcomb. jump online for additional details on that one. Crash Fest Express. We got the Crash Course Nationals coming up this weekend. The first night of action going to be streamed by the one and only Lee Sager. Prodigy Gaming going to be pulling the strings on that one Thursday. 7:30 Eastern meeting time, 8 o'clock first heat. It opens up with the team compacts. That's head-to-head, 6 teams, 3-on-3, 3 heats. Winners goes to the feature on Saturday, and then the 80s Bone Stock going to be taking flight that night. That is a 13-car one-and-done event. It's going to be a good time. Then things shift over to Friday. Lee and Alex Sager were both drawn to represent part of the Legends team, the Legends of playing RDP, people that have been watching them run for a long time. That's part of a 5-on-5 heat. That's the main event of Friday. The 4 super stock heats are going to be that night as well. 8 cars each, taking 2 out of that one, last 2 running. And then the compact consolation round. The 3 teams that didn't make it are going to be going at it to punch the ticket for the final team to make it into the A main. So that'll all be contested on Saturday. Same deal, 7:30 Eastern meeting time, 8 o'clock start time. That is going to be streamed by Jesse Myers and the Realistic Derby Project. And then Saturday, 6 o'clock meeting time, 6:30 start time on Saturday. The compact team feature, the consolations for the super stocks, the super stock feature, the 70s wire heat, the weld heat, also part of the program on Saturday. Again, we mentioned all the folks that are helping make this one possible. Hardcore Demolition Derby, Smash It, Jeffy's Fab Farm, big thanks out to those guys. Smith Metalworks, still a believer in everything that we've been working on. We sure do appreciate that. And then Alliance Motorsports and Coke Promotions. The deal was Lee was going to be streaming this stuff all weekend. Unfortunately, it did fall on the same weekend as Mini Meltdown. Lee's going to be camping, so as soon as he's done on Friday, he's going to take off to the track, and he's going to be out there to run Saturday and Sunday. We wish him the best of luck. Crash Course Nationals the 17th, 18th, and 19th. Sure looking forward to seeing everybody out there as we get the chance to stream that, picking up where we left off with American Beans last fall on that one. Number 2 this weekend, and there's already been some conversations about number 3 coming up this fall as well. Some programming notes, and everybody needs to kind of keep in the back of their mind before we get out of here. Next Monday is Allen's first soccer game, so we're not going to be on the air as scheduled on Monday. We're putting together the contingency plan to back that up. Either we're going to go earlier in the day or we're going to go later in the week. Next week we do have a bunch of half days at school, so the schedule does open up a little bit along those lines. So we'll make the best of it. That is going to do it for us here. We sure do appreciate all the comments and conversation here. Maybe Scott said if he can sell off his Pokemon cards, maybe he can get back into Derby. Could be. It's always worth a shot. eBay's open 24 hours a day. Covering everything. Looks like we are good to go. Thanks to all of the folks that tuned in and listened along with us this evening. We sure do appreciate it. We're going to be back again next week at some point. Like we were saying, 360 is in the books. Make sure you get out there, support Mini Meltdown. That is going to be carried live on Trackshot TV. Hopefully everybody goes out there. Be safe. Be well. We'll see you then.
Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.